Icy winds are blowing across the marshland. The leaves have left the trees, all grin and bare, and the birds fill the sky. They are saying goodbye. Now that winter's everywhere. Soon will freeze and stop their flowing. No more the sound of summer fills the air. Just the long
I don't know, Annalise put me here, so I'm going to do it. Can we go ahead and get started? Good afternoon, everyone. It's just past 3 o'clock, so I'd like to get started with the September meeting of the Knoxville Transportation Authority. I have some remarks to make, but before I do that, we have 2 quick items of business. The first is a determination of a quorum. Mr. Lawhorn?
We have 6 members present. We do have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. The second is the approval of the August 2024 meeting minutes. Are there any comments from the commissioners on the meeting minutes? Do I have a motion to approve? Thank you, Commissioner Durham. Second? Thank you. All in favor? Any opposed? All right, the minutes have been approved. So before we begin with the transportation content of today's meeting, I'm chairing today's meeting because of the unexpected passing of Commissioner Christy Kirk, who has served as the chair of the Knoxville Transportation Authority for the past 8 months. As you may know, Christy passed away on September 10th, just a few days before her 54th birthday. So I'd like to spend a few minutes today at the beginning of our meeting to remember and honor Christy. Christy was a very active and involved person with many roles in our community. I must begin with her most cherished role, which was that of mom. Christy was a beloved mother of 2 grown children, Taylor and Christian, and she loved to talk about them. Her kids were the center of her world and the driving force behind her life's work. Christy's professional life focused on education, and for the past 20 years, she worked with Project GRAD, helping guide adolescent scholars in the Knoxville community. Beyond her work in education, Christy was also very involved in numerous community projects and boards, including this one. Christy was appointed as a commissioner on the Knoxville Transportation Authority just about 3 years ago. Last year, in 2023, she served as the vice chair, and this year, she led the board as chairwoman. Throughout her time on the KTA board, Christy has been an unwavering advocate for improving public transit service in Knoxville. She has led public meetings in this room and listened to the voices of countless riders and community members with patience and kindness. For those of you in the audience, you may not know this, but the Knoxville Transportation Authority, so the commissioners you see sitting to my right, we're all volunteers. We are not paid to come to these meetings. We serve on this board because we care about the community and we want to improve the transit system in whatever ways we can. Christy exemplified this volunteer spirit with her commitment and dedication to serving her community through her leadership role on this board. Her kind and caring presence at these meetings will be deeply missed. So now I'd like to ask that we have a shared moment of silence. But before we do so, I'd like to invite any of the other commissioners or CAT staff to share memories or make a few brief remarks to honor Christy.
Yeah, I'd just like to add that obviously with the passing of Christy Kirk, it's a huge loss for our community, but also a huge loss for Kat. She was a huge advocate for not only her students, but also for public transportation. I just want to ask that people continue to keep Christy's family and their thoughts and prayers with what they're dealing with right now.
I'd like to ask that we observe a moment of silence before we begin the meeting. Thank you. And now we'll start with the business of our meeting. First, there has been a change of agenda, so I'd like to turn it over to Mr. Lawhorn to make that announcement.
I'd like to announce to the commissioners and to the folks who came to make public comment today regarding the cat pay proposal that given some comments already received by Knoxville Transit staff regarding the cat pay proposal, they've gone back to the drawing board and they're reevaluating what the original proposal and intend to come back with a new proposal, which will be presented, I believe, Mr. Thorne, at the next meeting in October. For the commissioner's clarification, it's a little complicated what you're being asked to do with respect to cat pay. This authority does not have to approve that plan because it doesn't involve a change in routes. It doesn't involve an increase in fares. You do have to approve the Title VI analysis ultimately. So it makes sense to go ahead and present the full proposal. We will not ask the KTA to approve the proposal, but you will be asked to approve the Title VI analysis. So we're just going to put it all together in one presentation. I understand a number of folks are here today to provide comments and thoughts and opinions and concerns regarding the cat pay plan. We don't want to ask you to come back after having made the commitment to come here today in the rain. So you are welcome to come back in the October meeting. But if you're here today to provide public comment, we're going to have that. You're here, we want to hear from you. And again, we would love to hear from you next month too, if that's what you want to do, but we will hear you today and hopefully spare you an unnecessary second trip. So once we get an update from Mr. Thorne on our agenda, is that old business? Old business. On our old business item, I think it just makes sense to go ahead and hear that comment then. Now, if anyone is here to make any public comment other than on the cat pay proposal, that is heard at the end of the meeting, at the time for public comment. So if you would, if you are going to comment about something else, just wait to the end of the meeting. But if you're here to comment on the cat pay proposal, we'll make that opportunity available to you as soon as we can.
Thank you, Mr. Lawhorn. And now we'll begin with the reports on the agenda. The first item is the KTA Chair Report. Today, I'd like to have a very brief report simply to congratulate the CAT staff on implementing CAT Reimagined. We have been working on CAT Reimagined for years now, literally years. And since our last board meeting in August, those service changes have gone into effect. I don't have any specific report on CAT Reimagined, but I'd be very curious to hear any feedback from my fellow commissioners and CAT staff as we proceed with today's agenda. So that concludes my report. The next item is commissioner comments. Hearing none, we'll proceed along to the staff reports.
Yeah, the first item I want to talk about is also CAT Reimagined. As the vice chair has already commented on, we launched actually last month on this date. We did have a few technology issues, but overall I think it was a very successful launch. I do believe that our educational events held throughout the community leading up to that launch was very good for our customers. It's helped educate them and prepare them for the changes on August 26th. I also want to thank all of our employees. This was a 2-year effort. There was a lot of outreach, a lot of staff hours put into making this a successful launch. So congratulations to our employees on all the hard work they did to make this successful. The next item I want to talk about is ridership. If you saw the August ridership report, it had significant increases. This month, we are using our APC data. I've been talking to the board for the last few months on the process for certifying that APC data. We are very, very close. We have a few more trips to certify before the APC data is officially certified for the Federal Transit Administration. But we went ahead and provided that data today. I don't think it's going to change because of the changes that we had to make for CAT Reimagined. And using the APC data, we had a significant increase in ridership. Again, This is not shocking. I told the board, I think back in June, that we're going to see a much higher ridership count, more accurate ridership count when using the APC data. And for the last 2 years, we most likely underreported ridership. But that's all going to be corrected once FTA certifies the APC data. And we're going to provide the board with the 2024 ridership counts again. And then also for context, in 2019, CAP provided about 2.7 million trips on fixed route. We're probably closer to over 3 million now once we certify the 2024 data. So we have seen a full recovery in our ridership. Again, just to make you guys aware, with all the weather related to Hurricane Helene, we will be monitoring road conditions today, tonight for flooding, road closures. That is a real possibility. Also with the high winds that we're going to be receiving overnight into tomorrow, there is a possibility for road closures and service interruptions. So just want to make the board aware of that, the public aware of that we will be monitoring that, and stay tuned for any kind of detours that may, or service interruptions that may happen. That is all for my report. And I don't believe Doug is here today for the TPO transit, as TPO transit planner.
Okay, if the TPO transit planner is not here, then we can move along. Is there any new business?
No.
Okay. Old business, modified proposed recommendation for CAT pay.
Yeah, so last month, we made a proposal to go cashless on buses by implementing our CAT pay system, which introduces, in addition to mobile ticketing, a smart card application, smart cards that can be reloadable with cash through retail network and at Knoxville Station, customer service desk. After hearing or holding our 2 public meetings regarding this, giving the presentation and educating customers, we heard feedback that led us to say, look, let's take a step back. Let's continue to accept cash on buses. One of the main reasons why we introduced the CAT pay system was, one, we can introduce fare capping, which I think would be a huge benefit for our customers. The other reason is our fare boxes are obsolete. These fare boxes are no longer supported by the manufacturer. I think we bought them in early 2000s. So we are holding them together, but we have to remanufacture all the parts in-house. And the main 2 components are the dollar bill validators and then the trim pieces, which are providing those change cards, daily passes through the fare box. So we have modified our proposal to still accept cash. However, starting on January 2nd, it'll have to be exact change only. So you'll no longer be able to put in a $5 bill and get a $4 change card on that fare box, or be able to buy a one-day pass. You'll be required to basically use exact change. We will still launch or introduce smart cards starting on October 23rd. And we will educate the community on those, do some outreach, get them more accustomed to that method, but we will still accept cash. So that is the biggest change in this proposal after hearing the feedback from those 2 public meetings. I guess at this time, what questions does the board have regarding this proposal?
So a few questions. So the one-day passes on the bus, it says still available December 2nd. That's until the 2nd of February, so that's 2 months for that?
So we start the ticket buyback program basically starting on October 23rd. Okay. So any unused tickets, we will start buying, we'll take those back and exchange that, put those on to the reloadable smart cards, essentially. We will stop selling the day passes on the buses starting on December 2nd. They can still buy those from our customer service desk if they want to. Okay. But the last day that we're going to accept them on the buses, even if they buy it from customer service, is December 31st. And then December 2nd, we go completely away from paper tickets, change cards, to you have to have exact change.
So the way that we could basically talk about this new program is it's not cashless, it's paperless.
Yeah.
Is essentially what we're just reforming it to.
Correct.
The question I had, because I'm a big fan of the Transit app, does the CAT Pay card thing, does that directly load into the Transit app?
It does.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah, so typically though, if you are using the Transit app, you are going to go through the mobile ticketing side. However, you can also use that to load up your card, your smart card, if you wanted to.
Okay.
So you have that option, but I think at that point, most people would just say, I'm going to do mobile ticketing,
Okay, sure.
but you do have that option.
Okay, and then can you speak to, first of all, can you remind me, what is our current trip price per just individual trip?
$1.
Okay, so that's not changing, that's just staying the same.
Yep.
Okay, great. And then I guess I would just say, I think the thing that excites me about this is the idea of fair capping, because you see a lot of other cities, both here in America and in other cities. Again, y'all know I was in Paris for my birthday, and that's something their metro does is it's just you ride a certain amount, and then they're just like, well, you clearly need to take transit, so we're not going to charge you anymore. And I think that's a really, really great thing to do, because it builds on itself. Because it honestly, I know for me, it would get me to ride the bus more often, knowing that, I'm never going to have to pay over this amount. So the fact that there are, tons and tons of people in our city who have to use transit, knowing that we're helping them save money, that really gets me excited about this. I'll say I had 2 people email me with concerns about the kind of, not even necessarily going cashless, but just the immediacy of it, because it was very sudden. And so what I love about this is it shows me, again, kind of the responsiveness and the compassion that like CAT staff and that this board has to hearing concerns from the public, because I think this is just a really good example of kind of what good policy making is that you hear people have concerns and you say, okay, well, then let's change it. So I'm excited to be able to have more efficient buses because of the kind of option to go cashless. But if you don't have that option, you still are able to ride the bus. So I'm honestly kind of even more excited about this plan now. So thanks.
Yep, thank you. And it gives us time we have to do something with the current fare boxes. So this gives us more time to decide, do we go to a very cheap and expensive fare box that continues to allow people to use cash? Or do people come really accustomed and liking the smart cards, and maybe we don't? I don't know. But I think you're right, the timeline was probably too aggressive. And so we're pausing, and we're coming up with a new plan, basically.
I'm also thankful for the kind of rollout as opposed to the immediate implementation. I have a few questions. I see that CAT Pay card must be purchased from the CAT customer service counter. Can they also be purchased at these retail locations where you can reload the cards?
It cannot. And so that was one of the comments we heard, is you cannot. So again, this is a rollout period we've extended for that. Another reason why we extended this rollout period is because we want to do the same thing we did for CAT Reimagined. We want to go out to KCDC properties, educate people, and get people signed up and provide that card to them. Instead of them having to come to us, we're going to them. And so we can have a longer educational outreach program now to be able to do that. Because the only place you can get it is at Knoxville service, or at Knoxville Station, the customer service desk.
And I know this is for the rollout. Any potential that might change in the future once the kinks are worked out?
In terms of us providing those cards outside of?
Yeah.
So I don't believe so, because how I understand it is we have to be able to register that card. We want to be able to register that card. We do not have that opportunity if they're just buying them off the shelf. Mm-hmm. And so and this is, again, an educational piece. If they register the card and they lose it, we can shut it off. And all that value they save. But if they just lose it, somebody else is going to grab it, whatnot, start using it. We can't shut it off and transfer the funds.
Like a credit card?
Because then, for instance, if you get your card, you register it, you have an email account associated with that, you can contact our customer service desk with that account information, and we can close it down. But if it's not registered, we can't,
I hear you. And then people who live in Knoxville, I'm used to being in the clinic, y'all. For people who don't have email addresses, what options would exist for them being able to register their card?
I think they can also register with a phone number.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then I see that CAT partners with social service agencies who would still be able to purchase the 1 and 30-day passes. Do those become null and void after December as well? Like,
So,
do we have to do
yep,
the
so
payback?
they can exchange those as well.
So every community service organization that has already purchased like thousands of tickets have to turn them back in?
Yeah, they turn them in and we basically exchange them for 1 or 30-day passes, or just basically value-wise. We're looking at the value-wise, we exchange them. The difference is these cards are going to be hard plastic cards that are basically smart cards that they tap and validate, basically. That's the only change with them.
So as of December 31st?
Yep.
Okay. But we can purchase until then?
Yep. We can purchase until then, and some people may just want to convert ahead of time.
So they won't be able to get on the bus and use it after the 31st?
After the very first, you will not. That's why I think there's a lot of the social service agencies probably starting in November will start converting over. Or if they have to make a new purchase, we'll just automatically sell them the new cards. Because all that stock will be available starting October 23rd.
Any chance they could still be used until they're all gone, but no more purchased?
We can look at doing something like that. Our biggest problem is just, again, goes back to the two mechanical issues with the
Yeah.
fare box.
I hear
And
you.
trying to keep those just into life further and further and further. That's our biggest issue. Yep.
Thank you.
Yep.
I have one other question. Is it possible, because one of the issues that I got in an email of somebody's concern was, and I appreciate that in the packet you all gave us, we have this map showing where the cards can be bought and kind of like how close it is to bus stops and stuff. That's very convenient, and I wasn't able to make it to either of the public input sessions, so you all may have had this displayed there. But what I was wondering and hoping is that regardless of when we vote on this to approve it, is this not only map-wise, but can there be a list of this available with the locations and their addresses online? Just because I know some people are like, yeah, that's great that we can buy them, but like where? You know what I mean? And like, I need to know how close it is to my house. Can I walk there or take my wheelchair there? Or can I get there? And again, maybe y'all already done that and I just haven't noticed it, but that would be my kind of other biggest concern, is just making sure people know during this transition period, like how to get their new passes and where.
Absolutely. Yep. I agree with that. And we also want to contact the retail locations to let them know that we've started this program. You're going to start seeing customers come in and load up their cards. So I think it's important that we do the education with the retail locations, but also with the customers. Because I do think that when this starts, people are going to be going into these locations, retail locations, and asking, hey, where do I charge up my smart card for CAT? And speaking about, these locations with the map, there's also some work that we have to do to recruit more retail locations throughout Knoxville. So that's another area that, again, allowed us, or reason why we chose to kind of hit pause on this.
Okay. This is just me thinking out loud, because I know obviously when there's an exchange of money, that's why a lot of these are probably like Rite Aids and Walgreens and stuff, but would people be able, is there any possibility for people to be able to purchase these like at high schools? I'm thinking of like students that ride the bus, or maybe not even schools, libraries, things that are not just retail locations, because, obviously I think the more the merrier in terms of where these cards can be maybe not sold, but reloaded.
Yeah, it's definitely a possibility. I mean, we want to increase the number of locations, retail locations, so I think that could be a possibility as we start exploring this.
And I just want to make sure I was clear and we all understand the roles here. When you said when we approve this, ultimately, the KTA board members are in an advisory and commentary position with respect to the plan itself. Again, Title VI analysis, that absolutely requires this body's approval.
All right, if that is it for the commissioner comments and questions, I would like to open up the meeting to public comment now. So we'd like to proceed with the list. You'll each be given 5 minutes to speak. We will begin with Sherry Johnson. When you come... Okay, no problem. No problem, absolutely no problem. That's okay. We know you're present, thank you. That's okay. So I have a list here of people who signed up. If you would like to make a public comment, I will call your name. You do not have to by any means, okay? So I'm just gonna work my way down the list. If you would like to make a public comment, please step up to the podium, state your name and address, and you have 5 minutes to give us whatever remarks you would like to. The second person on the list is Rebecca Lori Profit.
And let me remind everybody, this is commentary specific to the cat pay proposal. If you have comment on anything else, just hang on. We'll get there at the end of the meeting.
Go ahead.
My name is Rebecca Profit. Lori's just a nickname. Okay. My address is 1202 Better Tomorrow Drive, apartment 239, Knoxville, Tennessee 37921. My comment for the cat pay to Mr. Ford, bear with me because I'm a little nervous. Excuse me. Anyway, I'm concerned with the, pardon me. I'm concerned with if they're trying to get rid of the cash pay boxes on the buses and want to go paperless. Is it just going to be the cash cards or that you were talking about, Mr. Ford? That if we're having to pay cash on the bus, or is it, do we actually can pay it the actual cash? I'm a little confused.
If you want to respond, go ahead.
You can still pay cash on buses. Yep, it just has to be exact change or exact dollars after January 2nd. But
After
you'll still be-
January 2nd?
Yep, but you can still pay cash.
Okay.
That's basically we're allowing you to pay cash on the fare boxes. Yep.
Okay, and will they be still a free amount of time? I know during the proposal from before, at the meetings downtown, sorry, you had talked about, let's see, what was it? Where
Yeah.
they was going to be at like a certain amount of free
Yep.
time?
Correct. So this, from now into the future, we're basically allowing cash on buses. But on January 2nd, it goes to exact change only.
Okay.
Now, for people that do want to convert to having that smart card,
Okay,
if they give us $4, we put $4 onto the card, making it free.
we can still get that?
You can still get that. And that goes all the way through February.
Okay.
Yep.
And let's see, I'm trying to think of what else. And I do want to appreciate everything you all do as well, and the drivers. They do some well as far as what they, how they go about driving and whatever else. So I do appreciate that, if you can pass that along.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Let me just so it'll be a little easier for everybody. If you have specific questions, this is the opportunity for you to share your opinions, share your concerns. This is not a question and answer, and that's fine. Those were excellent questions, by the way. But if you have questions, Mr. Thorne, will you be available after the meeting?
I absolutely will.
Okay. So if you have specific questions, Mr. Thorne and his staff will be here, and they'll answer those. So right now, we want to hear your opinions and your comments and concerns.
Thank you. I'd like to invite the next speaker to make comments, John Gentry. Please come to the podium and state your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes.
Thank you all for the open forum. Thank you all for the time. And my condolences for the loss. I didn't even realize this was going to be on the quorum. If I understand correctly, the boxes are breaking down, and I can expect that. Now, is there still, I'm sorry, this is another question. Will there still be options for, say, the month passes and such as that?
If you would share whatever thoughts you have, and Mr. Thorne and his staff will be here to answer your question one-on-one after the, we're just taking comments right now.
Okay, thanks. Now, some of us, are, as you guys can expect, are still a bit too archaic, whether they're our age, to really transition to only digital. Now, there's a question, too, that can be tied into how valuable the American dollar is. There's that, too. But even if that's the case, we wouldn't really know. Say we only carried cash instead of, tying our card to everything in our lives. We wouldn't really know where we would buy a card, say, and we wouldn't. Then we might have to go down to the main transit station to actually load the time, and that would really require a free trip. I think that would be an inconvenience to everybody here, as well as to us as riders. And so I suppose that's my 2 cents, and it really does seem like everybody's stuck between a rock and a hard place. So.
Thank you. I'd like to invite the next speaker, John Timmerman. Please come forward, state your name and address.
Can you hear me? Okay. The gentleman covered my concerns. I do have a housekeeping. Coming into the handicap side door, there's about 1.5 inch lip that the security had to help me get in the actual building. And I don't fit through the metal detector. So, and I will have some questions after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you for making us aware of that. Next, I'd like to invite Lola Burrows. Please state your name and address, and you'll have 5 minutes.
Okay, try and be brief.
Ms. Burrows, if you would pull that microphone toward where you're speaking, that'll help.
I'm sorry, I have a bit of problem hearing.
Pull the microphone toward your mouth so we can hear you. That's perfect.
Okay, I'll try and be brief. I don't know why the thought of going cashless sets my teeth on edge. Beyond partly maybe on subconscious level, we're really heading into the mark of the beast revelation. And that said, it's not good to not give the consumer the choice of paying cash or credit. Now, on a personal note, just within a matter of a few weeks, KSO had a concert scheduled at Market Square. In my mad dash to pull myself together and get over there, I left my phone with my CAT card in it. So my point being, I had some money in my bag, but I didn't have my card. In which case, if you don't take cash, what am I to do? So on that point, it's not wise to constantly dictate to the people, we the people, and that's what is supposed to be the government. Now, we lost out on the trolley, so it would behoove you to give on this issue and give the consumer a choice. It would be a good PR move. And that said, given what happened in LA yesterday, that should have never happened. Many citizens are beginning to say, and wake up to the fact we're letting too many illegals in here that's going to ultimately end up like that. To me, it makes more sense to focus and have a ribbon or other fail-safes to keep the consumer safe and the drivers and staff too, rather than worrying, are we going cashless or not? If you have had problems with the drivers and somebody trying to get that cash, please be forthcoming on any issues like that. because once you know, you may find you have the people more behind you on that issue or others. And since I can't think of anything else to say at the moment, thank you.
Thank you for your comments. The next person on the list is Sharon McKibben. Sharon present? All right, that is the last name on the sign-in list. Is anyone else here who would like to provide public comments? We're taking comments on the cat pay proposal, the modified cat pay proposal at this time. Okay. If you could please state your name and address for the record, you have 5 minutes. Thank you.
Sharon McKibben, residing at 900 West Emerald Avenue, Knoxville. This is concerning your Route 22 and stop 1922. There's no sidewalk there. You have removed one stop and then moved this one south. There are 30 businesses that's anchored by the Food City that has no stop. Here is a suggestion that you move the stop 500 feet from the intersection of Adair and North Broadway. This will better serve the businesses in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Should we take any other public comments? Okay. Is there anyone else here who would like to provide comments specific to the cat pay proposal?
Ma'am? I'm sorry, I'm not going to walk up there. On the cat pay thing, I do want to ask about, if there are going to be classes or meetings before another class before the change again.
Mr. Thorne and his staff will be here and prepared to answer any questions you have.
Oh, well, he shook his head, so.
All right.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. At this point, is there anyone else signed up for public comments? Actually, I think there.
Yeah, we should have people signed up.
Yep, there is a few more names. I see it. Okay. The next is Ron Benson. Thank you. You'll have 5 minutes.
Okay, so we are changing gears now, right? I belong here. Thank you. My name is Ron Benson. I live out in Lincoln Park on Atlantic Avenue, 917 Atlantic Avenue, 37917. And I've got two situations I want to discuss with you. And just to get to what's the more important one, I want to express that you'll understand why I'm bringing this up, but I used to ride the 21, which came up and down Atlantic Avenue, well, just one direction, actually. And that bus has been removed altogether. There's no Atlantic Avenue anything. And I happen to be between Pershing and Broadway, almost dead set between a 7/10 of a mile stretch of Atlantic Avenue where you do have a bus going on Pershing, or you do have a bus going on Broadway. And when I used to take the 21 when it existed, and it was pretty common for me to get on a bus at 6:45 by my house in the morning and get downtown in time, most of the time, to get over to the hospital bus, which was supposed to leave at 7:15 in the morning, according to when I was leaving my home. Now, what I would do was I would meet my daughter, who was coming in from North Knoxville, out when you had a super stop out by the Kroger's. And I would catch up with her and have a little visit time. She'd be going to the hospital where she's worked in that area for 20 years, and I would be going over to the YMCA where I work out 3 times a week. And on occasion, my bus would be a little late, and I'd miss the hospital bus. But her bus was always the one that she took from Broadway to get to the 42, I think it's called, was always on time unless a bus broke down, maybe there was an accident, something that was a little more out of the ordinary. And she could get on her bus out there at 6:30, well, it would leave at 6:35. It would still get on to Broadway, go further north, go around Jacksboro, Essery, back to Broadway, go back to town, and it was still scheduled to get downtown 5 minutes before the hospital bus she needed to get to her job was leaving at 7:15. Well, back in April, when I think was your last meeting of this kind before you, I think it was the meeting where you actually were voting to whether to go forward with your proposed schedules and at that time. And at that time, it was pointed out to you folks that your new scheduling was going to have people like my daughter. I definitely made the mistake when I talked about this first time. I mean, it took my daughter in my life for me to know this was happening, but obviously this was happening to everybody. All of a sudden, people that wanted to leave that time in the morning to get downtown for that 7:15, whatever 7:15, whether it was that one or any other one, were not getting downtown until 20 after the hour. And I called and I talked to somebody about this downtown shortly after that. Her name was Anna Victoria. I understand she doesn't work for CAT anymore. And at the time, she seemed like a very nice, sweet lady. And she informed me that really her gig was mainly dealing with bus stops. But she entertained conversation with me. She talked to whoever she needed to talk to and got back with me and informed me that a change was going to be made, which was supposed to comfort me, I guess. But the change that was made is her bus now gets downtown at 7:15, or that's the scheduled time, which is the exact same time that another bus is supposed to leaving. So I don't understand that. That makes no sense to me. And it seems what is happening here, because there are times when I leave because there's no Atlantic Avenue run for the 21
just want to make you
anymore.
aware you have one more minute. Thank you.
Well, what a shame. I've got a 7-minute problem here. But she can't get downtown in time most of the time unless she gets off the bus at Walnut and Church as it's going towards the station. And hopefully she's getting out in time to catch a bus coming the other way. Now there's a certain amount of element of inconvenience in that, yes. But the idea that all of a sudden, instead of not being able to utilize a transfer point where she's safe, she's surrounded by other people.
Like that.
Sir, just a few more seconds.
Sorry? I'm sorry?
Oh, you can have one more minute, sir.
She's not as safe standing on a corner of Walnut and Church in the dark. And it's going to get darker earlier, we all know. You know, there's times of the year when I get all the way down to the transfer point at 6:30 in the morning and it's light out. But it's already dark when she's getting out of that bus. And I think it's shameful. I think it's shameful that, for one thing, when CAT knew that they were getting some bus down there later than people can make transfer points, they held out, well, we're getting you down there now at the same time your other bus is leaving. That's no comfort. That's like doing nothing. Now she's standing out in the dark. It's going to get cold out, and sometimes it rains, like we know, okay? I think something really needs to be done about that. And if I only got 5 seconds left, I think if you're going to take away Atlantic Avenue run of a 21, there should be at least bus stops at the ends, instead of having to walk down to Broadway or walk down to Pershing and now walk another 1/10 or 2/10 of a mile to get a bus downtown.
Thank you for making us aware of this.
I'm sorry?
Thank you for making us aware of this. We appreciate your feedback.
Well, what's bothersome is that they were aware of this back in April. You've been talked to, your organization. I don't mean to say anything rude to you personally, but this organization has heard this stuff and have done nothing.
Thank you. We have a few more people for public comment. Michael D. Going. I'm not sure if I pronounced your last name right, but Michael, if you're here. Thank you, thank you. You have 5 minutes.
Greetings and good evening. Yeah, I just wanted to be concerned about the Route 30. I think that route was there way back when they had a trolley train or something. So I was just wondering, are they going to ever bring that route back to Park Ridge? Any kind of transportation between Washington Avenue to Magnolia? It's a long distance to walk. I think it's 14 minutes. And then another question is, I just want to know how many of the people on the whole board use public transportation? You don't got to answer it. It's something in your mind, you know, think about it. Because to me, if anybody's on a board, you don't use the public transportation, how do you get to decide to do what you're doing? Or at least catch it. I know the mayor used to catch the bus quite often, but I don't think she doesn't because of her security reasons. And I think you guys the CAT's improved a lot. And I know for a fact, I think pre-COVID, that's when they were really on the roll. I mean, every 15 minutes, during rush hour. And I think in the evenings, the same thing. And then the hour routes, that's one thing with Route 30. I think the ridership was down because it took a whole hour to walk, catch a bus. So you would either get a car, get an Uber, or walk to Magnolia. And I don't know the other alternatives that CAT has came up with that route. Just like the gentleman just said, you have to walk 14 minutes just to catch another bus. So by the time you get there, then you miss. I did it actually the other day. I walked and the bus was gone. It was leaving me. So it took me 14 minutes. Then I had to wait another 15 minutes. Then got to wait another 30 minutes downtown. So you got like 2 hours just to get to a 15-minute place. Then same thing coming back. Knoxville, I mean, I don't think they ever had the infrastructure for a bus system or even the light rail system. I don't think so. I don't know if it'll ever come because it seems like everybody wants to get a vehicle. Then you got electric vehicles, then you got other means of transportation, and it's not a walkable city. So I think that's not anything CAT. It's just the way they built Knoxville. But they did have trolleys, right? I'm pretty sure you guys, it's right down at the CAT bus station. Knoxville had trolleys all the way up into 1970s or 60s. Thank you. That's all I got.
Thank you. We appreciate your feedback. Next on the list is Cindy Helton.
I'm all the way back here. I ain't worried.
Here, I can move.
It's okay. I'm all right. My name's Cindy Helton. I live at 201 Locust Street, apartment 1113, Knoxville, Tennessee, 37902. And I regularly ride the bus pretty much every day. And I usually can't get back from riding from what I do till after 8 o'clock. Yet on Mondays or Thursdays, the only bus or anything that goes down Summit Hill anymore, because you took the 22 away from Summit Hill, is the downtown connector, and it quits running at 8 o'clock. If you're not going to bring any other bus back to Summit Hill, you should at least make the downtown connector like any other bus and run till at least 10 o'clock every night, except for Sunday, of course. Because rolling all the way from Church or Main Street up to Gay Street, up to Summit Hill, up to Summit Towers, that's not easy. And I'm often very worn out every night. I think it's pretty much the biggest comment that I had to say about anything.
Thank you for your comment, Cindy. We appreciate it. That's the last name I have signed up on the list. Is there anyone else here for public comments?
I signed up for both comments and the money comments, so there was that. Yeah, so
Thank you.
here's the thing about the CAT Reimagined. I'm going to be very bitter and very harsh in what I'm about to say, so forgive me in advance for that. None of us here are happy about the CAT Reimagine. I know you and the board are. I'm sorry?
I said you can speak for yourself.
Well, I'm sorry. I'm wrong. Okay. Well, me, I'm not happy at all. And I was obviously speaking out of turn. But I'm sure that I'm not the only person. I hope I'm not the only person. Others through many voices in my head. Also, I'm wondering how many of these routes actually go by a polling place, because it's very strange that the Reimagine was rolled out just before really the most momentous election of American history, because if the wrong person wins this time, the person who's talked about in Revelation 17, there won't be a 2028 election. In fact, we all know how it's going to go. And I'm going to speak directly about myself again. So I'm going to get out of the voices in my head and talk about myself. The 16 never went by the shopping center where the Best Buy and where the Lowe's are. It's either Lowe's or Home Depot. They're all the same. I don't know which one it was which. But I know there are job opportunities there. I know there's things that I need for my house. There are things that I would like to have at my house. But I can't really get them there because, first of all, the 16 is much shorter and it's much more confounding. Second off, it actually never went there. I had a family member who wanted to work at the Home Depot or Lowe's. I don't even know which one it was, and I don't really care. Second off, over at the Rocky Hills, there's laundromats, which some of us need. There are other businesses there, and there are other opportunities. Beyond that, the 90 no longer goes by, really no longer exists. So I don't even know how I would go by where my private doctor used to practice. I would no longer really go by the Agrifeed because I have pets at home and I need to figure out how to take care of them. And now I get you guys have to do the one for the downtown for income reasons. I get that. But none of this really adds up, and I'm very concerned about how this is going to affect our abilities as citizens who unfortunately don't have vehicles as much as I'd like to. It's too old. It needs to be fixed. How it's going to affect the number of us on even voting, because early election is next month, and then the big election is the month after that. And this is monumentous. Personally, one last thing for me. The 11 now, half of the 11 is the entirety of the 17. Maybe you could do the 17 3 times an hour. But the 11 goes the entirety of 17 and cuts off half of itself. Okay, now you have something like 10. I don't even know what 10 does. But I know that I can no longer go to my church I would enjoy going to during school years for Bible study. Okay, it's, what is it? Calvary Baptist. Calvary Baptist, it's on Kingston Pike. Every Monday at 7 p.m., there's a Bible study fellowship for men and for women. I cannot go there. I've got too many broken bones to walk all the way over there. I know I'm about out of time, and that's pretty much all I have. But I have a huge axe to grind in that matter. Thank you. And thank you for serving, sir. Really appreciate that.
Thank you. There were a few people who signed up on both lists. Sherry, did you want to make a comment? Sherry Johnson or Rebecca on the second list? You were on both. I just want to make sure I didn't skip over anyone. Thank you. Okay. All right. I think one more comment.
I signed up for both.
You did? Okay. I'm sorry. Go ahead. You have 5 minutes.
I'll move up. I didn't tell you my name the last time. I'm John Timmerman. I live at 60. Okay now? Okay. I'm John Timmerman. I live at 6313 Clinton Highway, apartment 114. I'm here today because I have questions and concerns about the lift program. First, I wanted to thank you all for not changing the lift coverage when you changed to the new service area. That was, I'm sure a lot of people appreciated that. I've been using lifts since about August of 2020. I'm on dialysis, but I'm transported by CAC, so that really wasn't going to affect me, I thought. I use Lyft for my doctor's appointments. Let's see, I'm sorry. I use for both, let's see, I apologize. Okay, when the new program started, I figured since the transported by CAC, I wouldn't be affected. I know if it wasn't for Lyft and CAC, I would not be here today due to my sickness. I have subscriptions with CAC 3 days a week and Lyft twice a week. I normally use Lyft for my doctor's appointments. I have over a dozen doctors that I see. My thing is, it's a full-time job to be sick. Okay, when the new program started with Lyft no longer transporting dialysis patients, which I believe are around 30, I figured it wouldn't affect me. Well, it didn't take long before I had issues. First time was August the 12th. I needed to see my primary doctor for an injury I sustained the day before. I called to schedule a trip with Lyft, needed to be there at 11 o'clock, picked up around 12:30. Getting there wasn't a problem, but the problem was the pickup time. The earliest they could put me on a pickup time was 5 p.m. So I am able to call when I'm through my doctor's appointment and they can fit me in. Well, luckily they were able to fit me in. If not, I would have had to use Uber, which would have been about, look it up, about $45, $50 to get home. Let's see. The other time was last Thursday. I had an appointment with my doctor at UT at 11:30. The appointment was, the doctor's office called and see if I could be there at 9:45. I'm sorry, the appointment was at 10:45. They wanted me there at 9:45. I told them I would try. I called Lyft, and they advised they could not get me there any earlier. So, but I did make it to my doctor's appointment. I was able to be seen, so it didn't cause me any trouble. Let's see. The way I understand the new program works is there's an apartment complex roughly of 280 residents or buildings. Now, you can correct me if I'm wrong. Any resident can call and ask for it to be delivered, to be taken to a close bus stop. I think it's less than 2 miles. I believe the bus stop is at Clinton and Clinton Highway and Merchants. They're in front of the Walgreens. So they can call anytime. I think it's within an hour they can be picked up. Let's see. I understand that there are no restrictions for them to ride Lyft. I had to fill out an application signed by my doctor, and I have to have it renewed every 2 years. Not a problem. But my question is, why should I be inconvenienced for someone who doesn't need the Lyft service? Could you not just use a 16-passenger van? And how many people are using the service? Do you all know? I'm sure there's numbers. The way I understand from people I've talked to, not very much. And when they do call, there's been known to they'll not show. So the driver I had just today, he'd never hauled anybody. And let's see. I had called Stephanie Cook. I think she's the city's ADA director, and told her my concerns. In our conversation, I told her I was a dialysis patient, that I used to live at South High Senior Living. And her answer to that was, well, you could have just taken a nice stroll down the sidewalk being a dialysis patient. You know, since I have a power chair, I do have a power chair, you know, I think it was like a 1.2 mile stroll at 5:30 in the morning. You know, being a dialysis patient, I don't see how she even thought that.
You have 1 more minute.
1 more minute, okay.
Yes.
I'm sure you all know the Lyft handbook states the Lyft is designed, and I'm paraphrasing, I'm reading, to provide paratransit transportation service to persons with disabilities that meet the provisions of the ADA Act of 1990. The ADA and its regulations that require that the Lyft provide paratransit service to persons with disabilities that is comparable to the service provided by Knoxville Area Transit to the individuals who use CAT's regular route service. Our fixed route system serves thousands of customers with disabilities and need each day for discontinued. One-on-one travel training is also provided to those who cannot ride. The CAT paratransit program provides more than 200 scheduled passengers trips around, and more or less what that's saying is you will provide paratransit transport for everybody on your route, which is not happening with CAC. And if you have, okay, I understand my time's up. If y'all have questions about that, I'd be more than happy to answer them to you later. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate your comments. I think I have gotten all the names on the list. Did I miss anyone? I want to make sure everyone who has came down here has the time to speak. You have been on both. Yeah. I'd prefer that you wait until after the meeting. Again, the staff will be here for specific comments and questions, okay? Thank you. All right, at this time, I'm going to set the next meeting for October 24th, 2024, and adjourn the meeting. Thank you very much.
Ma'am, can I speak to you just for a second after the meeting? Yeah, I have a question for you also.